Good afternoon. It's time to talk about the New Deal. Does it work? Does it not? Something's got to work because our country is in the middle of a terrible depression, and Hoover's policies so far are not letting up. So, in a nutshell, the New Deal. We have Franklin Delano Roosevelt, FDR. He assumes the presidency at the darkest hour of the Great Depression. He pledges to restore prosperity through expansive government intervention in the economy. And while Roosevelt's deal does not, in fact, end the Great Depression, what it does do is it permanently alters American society and creates many of the structures that sustain prosperity following World War II. So we're quite familiar with a lot of these programs. Why should you care? Why does FDR still matter 60 years after he died and just 82 days into his fourth term in his presidency? Well, if his cousin Teddy sort of set the stage, FDR made the modern presidency, and the New Deal made modern American society. And whether you love FDR's policies or loathe them, it's impossible to imagine the world we live in today without them. This is why Franklin Delano Roosevelt still matters. When the country's sick, they need a doctor. So paging Dr. Roosevelt, we need someone who's going to come in and bring the right medicine to heal us. A few things going on in the country, guys. We've got 25% unemployment. That's extremely high. We've seen some numbers, some very high numbers lately during the recession, but not quite that high. Banks are closing, stocks are crashing, there's a loss of hope, there's despair, there's sickness, okay? And during times of crisis, the federal government is going to come in with their medicine bag and expand their role. So the New Deal addresses the concerns of the Great Depression. Does it work? Does it not? That's for you to decide. So first of all, we elect the doctor for his fourth term. Dr. Hoover is the doctor who says, go home, have a cookie, call me in the morning if you feel better, okay? So we need something more than cookies. We need someone who represents an active government addressing economic and social concerns, and that's FDR. Now, during times of crisis, sometimes you want the federal government to expand its role. Say your house is on fire and President Obama is standing outside with a fire hose. You're going to want him to use that hose to put the fire out, right? So the president walks in and you need his help, and that gives him more power. An increase in power, an increase in federal government, and an increase in federal government spending on programs is what Roosevelt's going to offer. All right, when you're desperate, guys, you need some hope. And when people are desperate, that's when FDR, when the federal government can walk into a terrible situation and say, this is what we're going to do. So this is a terrible financial situation. And there's hope that FDR is going to do something. Does that sound familiar, that hopey, changey stuff, right? And the first pill that FDR offers, guys, is a bank holiday. It's called the Emergency Banking Bill. And he shuts down all the banks so that they can get themselves in order, get their accounts in order. And this shook up America. He said, I'm going to do something. Let's stop in our tracks and figure out what to do. FDR gets America's attention, and he does something to restore trust. No more money in the mattresses, people. It's not good for the economy. The bank holiday has people asking, what is this guy going to do next? Okay. Another way that he gives them hope, he starts fireside chats. People turn on their radio to listen to the comforting voice of their president, just like you're listening to my comforting voice now. But those fireside chats try to put people at ease. Everyone's a little bit nervous. We need to get back in the game. When you're sick, you also need soup, chicken soup, alphabet soup to be specific, and this is what FDR's programs are called. The programs of the New Deal are also referenced as the alphabet soup programs. So the first alphabet you're going to have to know is the CCC, the Civilian Conservation Corps. And this pill belongs in the unemployment pill box. Businesses aren't hiring, so the government's got to do it. Urban men, people living in the cities from ages 18 to 25, have extremely high unemployment. So to get young men out of the city and into the country, he puts them to work fixing roads, cleaning up parks, and becoming firemen, fighting wildfires. Very active jobs. They live in camps, they're fed, they're clothed, they're improving the United States, and they're sending money back home for food and groceries and so on. That's called pump spending, guys, when you put more money into the economy to make the economy better, okay? So we're pumping it in just like you would in a gas pump. And the idea is the more money you pump in, the more people will be able to spend, and the better the economy will be. FDR borrows money. Our deficit spending is kind of out of control at this point. He does this to get us out of the hole. I mean, he puts us in another hole, but World War II addresses that when they start producing for our allies. So Pump spending, guys. Remember, it's just pumping money into the economy. The idea is if you put money into the bottom of a balloon, money gets spent. And what happens to the rest of the balloon? It rises. And this is the theory of Keynes, the economist Keynes. And we'll see this in a couple of, over the next couple of weeks, guys. We'll look at ways that the booms and the bust cycles continue to fluctuate. And there are a couple of economic theories about that. Keynes thinks that pump spending solves economic crisis. His buddy, Hayek, who we'll see tomorrow, he doesn't believe so. He believes that government should save, that they shouldn't spend it, that they shouldn't go into a deficit, that instead we should give tax credits to the rich. And we'll get to that in just a second. Hoover's theory, guys, is the trickle-down economic theory. We see this a lot with Reaganomics as well. The idea being that America is like an ice cream cone, and you can put all these toppings on top, like tax cuts and subsidies that help the rich and help entrepreneurs and business owners, and eventually this will trickle down. The idea would be like if you were to open an ice cream shop because you're an entrepreneur, we would give you tax credits or tax cuts, and then you would be able to hire a middle manager. And in turn, that middle manager would be able to hire someone at minimum wage, and the economy gets better. This trickle-down theory takes a while, and it's debatable as to whether or not it works. Again, this is kind of a Reaganomics policy. It's a very laissez-faire policy. Hands off, right? Okay, you know what that means. So the New Deal programs that you're going to need to know. This is a very hands-on policy. This is all FDR, okay? The TVA, the Tennessee Valley Authority. This program builds dams for electricity in the Appalachians. We hire men to create dams, okay? The WPA, this one's important. This is a different pill box altogether. This is one of those hopey-changey pill boxes. It gives people something to look forward to. So we provide subsidies for artists and writers. They make posters, they write plays, they make movies, murals, sculptures. Mount Rushmore, that's why FDR's face is in the middle of it. They make some government propaganda prior to World War II. And they're pumping money into the economy, pump spending. The idea being that if you put some artists and writers to work, they're going to be spending money too. The FDIC. Every time you go to a bank, you see FDIC insured on the window. This is important. Make sure you're going to an FDIC insured bank. This gains trust back into the American financial system. So people are taking their money out of their mattress and putting it into the bank. It actually insures your money up to $5,000. It insures deposits, okay? The SEC, these are the stock cops, okay? The ones who arrested Martha Stewart not too long ago. Trust the stock market. Let's say you're gambling. If you're at the craps table and you know everybody's cheating, you're not going to play. But if cops are running the table, you're more likely to play. So people get back into the stock market thanks to the SEC. The SSA, the Social Security Administration, you guys know those. That's a safety net for the elderly and the handicapped. Hopefully it will still be around when you are elderly. Unconstitutional programs that FDR tries to push are the AAA and the NRA. The AAA provides subsidies or free handouts to farmers to not produce, to kill excess livestock and to stop producing, to stabilize the price, so the less you produce, the more it's worth. The Supreme Court votes to take that pill away. We also have the National Recovery Agency, another unconstitutional program. This is big hands-down government regulation. Agencies are setting wages, setting the supply, and controlling business. And the Supreme Court takes that one away too. They say that's kind of going against our whole capitalist system of government. So what did FDR do? He proposed court packing, that Congress pass a law to appoint new justices who would be on board with this and pack them into the courts and pick them. They said no to FDR because court packing sort of upsets those checks and balances. So, is this socialism? Is it dependency? Is it too much borrowing from the federal government? You decide. That's the New Deal, guys, and I'm out. I'll see you later.